What's cracking, everybody? XehrFelrose here, bringing you some Pokemon Go Battle League content, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the newly buffed Golisopod in one of the strongest teams that I've played in the Ultra League so far. We've got a double water backline with the Tapu Fini Gliscor core, and I mean, aside from Gliscor just core breaking half the teams it played against, Golisopod is a monster. Now, I gave it Aerial Ace. Xehr was also buffed. I was going for Aerial Ace just because I wanted to test it against things like, the fighters or anything else that might have come out, but this whole team beats fighters, which is nice. So let's get right into the battles here. I'm not going to spend too much time chatting because this is actually a lot like a team that you guys have seen me run before, just with Golisopod and over like the Registeel that we played a couple seasons ago. So without any more delay, getting into the battles here, we've got a Nidoqueen on the lead. You could not ask for a better lead here, and the fact that they're not swapping out means that they're very likely core broken. Put on some light here, goodness. Get some core breaking going on here with the Gliscor. So my opponent swaps into Cobalion, and they have shown me why they're core broken. I'm going straight for the Earthquake. I don't know how much damage this does post-nerf, but I want to find out. Opponent shields it up, so I immediately come with my Tapu Fini. My whole team beats Cobalion, and my whole team has immense amount of play against Nidoqueen. So I come in with my Fini here because I don't want to risk taking super effective damage from the Stone Edges on Golisopod, and because I'd like to be able to leave this matchup with some energy. I'm going to go for the Moonblast, and it lands, and I do realize that I can live one more Stone Edge, but I have to be careful of them potentially getting to a move here. So they decide they're going to go for it, and honestly, you should, because it's forcing a shield off of me anyway, which stinks. But because of that shield, I'm now even shields with the opponent and leave with a Surf loaded, which is huge. It's going to put pressure on this Nidoqueen to either shield again, or it's going to have to lose quite a bit of HP, and they lose HP over it and get the farm down on my Fini, but that's fine. I'm going to come right back in with my Gliscor. They're just about in Night Slash range at this point, so I'm just going to go straight for the Night Slash and let the opponent probably have a Scrafty in the back. Golisopod's going to have an absolute field day here. Opponent's just going for a Poison Fang here. I was counting, made sure that they weren't going for like Stone Edge or anything like that. They're going to go down, and in the back, my opponent's got him a Champ. I'm going to go for the Earthquake here and not messing around because I'm not getting to two moves. Or I guess I could get to two Night Slashes, but what's the point? I'd rather go for that move here, get the Earthquake, get the shield, and then I can just go for the Aerial Ace on my Golisopod and wrap up this game in style. Golisopod out here tanking a Rock Slide even from Shadow Machamp, getting to the Aerial Ace with a shield left, and that is going to be a good first game. Well played to my opponent. But again, like, the person was so core broken by this whole team, and honestly, that's the beauty of this team, is that in the Steelix meta, people are trying to run things that either hard counter it or hard counter the counters right now. I feel like this team fills both roles quite nicely. Opponent has a Alolan Muck, not a good lead for it, really, doing resisted damage. I'm going to shield the Dark Pulse just because I see value in my Gliscor here. I'm going to go for the Night Slash bait. My opponent clearly willing to play this out. I'm thankful to get a shield here, and I'm going to go for the Earthquake. I'm waiting one turn there, if you could see, for my opponent to make sure that they did not get the catch, which would have been a huge issue for me. So they shield up the Earthquake, unfortunately, but that's okay. A lot of these tactics, the waiting one turn, keeping track of energy, those are all things that I very adeptly cover in my coaching. So I know that you guys all see it here on the screen. 15% off your first session on my Metafy page. Check it out if you're looking for coaching. It's never too early in the season, but this is part of the reason why I'm running Aerial Ace right here, is because there's Virizions everywhere, dude. The Virizions are all over the place, so I'm going to get the farm down on this Virizion, but not before they're able to get to a Leaf Blade, which is fine. It gives the Muck a lot less farm, and since I'm doing resisted damage, I can get to just one more charge move here if the Muck comes back in, and we should be able to put it very low, if not get close to taking it out. My opponent comes in with a Cobalion, so I'm minding my timing, going for the Liquidation, knowing that I'm resisting the double kick damage here, which means that I should be able to get to another one if I stay in, but instead I'm going to go straight in with Tapu Fini, luring out the Muck, and I'm going to go for a Surf here, trying to put this thing low. All I have to do at this point is come in with my Gliscor if I need to, or I can farm down with anything at this point. Honestly, the Cobalion is not going to have a good time. The opponent has to go for Acid Spray or Dark Pulse. I typically don't assume that they're running the Sludge Wave, because they usually don't. It's typically just Acid Spray, and the opponent immediately surrenders, and that's a good game. Into this next battle, we have a really nasty lead. So Sand Slash, instead of safe swapping my Golisopod, I go into Tapu Fini because Tapu Fini is the less hard of the two responses. They always stay in here to throw the Drill Run. It is free damage for them, essentially. So I am happy to take this damage here instead of taking it like as an Ice Punch on my Gliscor, for example. And I'm hoping that I can either get Golisopod in the back to get aligned to the Sand Slash, or I'm hoping that Golisopod with shields can sweep, or my other alternative way to victory here is Gliscor can shields down, come in, and just slap the Sand Slash with an Earthquake there. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to come in with my Gliscor, knowing that my opponent just threw a Shadow Ball, and I'm going to go ahead and tank a Surf. I know it's risky, and I find much more value in my Golisopod at this point in time, so I'm going to mind my timing here. I don't remember how much energy they had exactly. They did over-farm a bit, so I'm going to go straight for a Night Slash here, try and fish a shield off my opponent. They decide to let it go, and I'm immediately going to switch into my Golisopod to start getting ahead on energy. My opponent... There's one thing in the entire Ultra League that walls Alolan Sand Slash, and it's Golisopod. So my opponent here... throwing only resisted damage, and they're staying in, and then comes in a Tapu Fini. And so at this point, this is a very risky game, but I have 2 shields, so if I shield everything up, again, I'm looking for the alternative win condition of can I get an Earthquake off here against the Sand Slash. So I'm going to just completely, devote my energy and my shields to this matchup. Now, I'm going to be able to shield this up. Even if it's a Surf, I have to shield it. I'm too low, and my Gliscor would just get farmed down from this range. But the opponent's Tapu Fini getting extremely low and throwing both of their charge moves, so the opponent now has 2 shields up, and I'm going to have to throw an Aerial Ace here. My opponent is not going to swap out immediately. I instead am going to be the one who swaps out here. I was leaving with the energy. I was hoping that I was going to have enough. I'm looking to get a shield off my opponent. I'm not really sure what the proper move for this end game here would have been. I feel like no matter what, the opponent just having both those shields. I miscounted the Tapu Fini's energy, so that was a mistake on my part, but I'm hoping that I can get the 2 charge moves before they can get the 2 charge moves. Knowing how much damage that Drill Run did, I might be able to narrowly live it. But if my opponent has enough energy for 2 charge moves or this Drill Run KOs, that's going to be a good game. So, well played to my opponent. Coming out of a really hard RPS matchup there and making it kind of close, I'd like to think. So, next game, we've got Gliscor and a Pidgeot. This is a really awkward lead because Gliscor is not going to be happy here because it's Nuke move, it's double resisted, and Golisopod absolutely just gets destroyed by Pidgeot. So I have to somehow get my Tapu Fini in on this Pidgeot. What I'm going to do here, my opponent makes a very important read. And the thing is, the opponent shields with the first move. You can almost guarantee they're going to go for Feather Dance, right? So what I do here is I'm going to go for one more Night Slash, hope I get a boost so I can go for the next Night Slash, put some pressure back on this Pidgeot. And since I don't get it, my opponent goes for a move immediately on 6. That's going to be a Feather Dance because this move counts for Feather Dance are 7-6. So I'm now immediately going to go into my Tapu Fini now that my opponent has lost some of that energy. And because they come in with a Virizion, I can get to a Moonblast for free here. They just need 2 Leaf Blades to KO the Tapu Fini, and that means that I am going to be able to easily go for this Moonblast, either get the last shield from my opponent or farm them all, or hit them with the Moonblast and be able to farm down afterwards. But they do shield up, so I'm up 2-0 shields now. Pidgeot looking like it's gonna be tough here, but all I need to do is just make sure that I have enough energy to handle the matchups that I'm coming into. So my opponent comes in, or I come in with a Golisopod. My opponent throws the Leaf Blade here, and I come in with Golisopod because Gliscor can't absorb the energy. So I'm willing to give 1 shield to this Virizion here before I throw the Aerial Ace after a bit more farming up. I'm paying attention to their energy here, so I know that I can throw 4 more moves. My opponent immediately swaps in a Registeel. I'm going to soften it up just for a bit with my Liquidation because I'm not sure if the debuffed Earthquake here is going to be enough. But I get the defense drop. Since I'm close enough to the Earthquake, I'm going to be able to get there right away and take out this Registeel that has no shields remaining. Goodbye, Tin Can, and in comes the opponent's Pidgeot. I'm going to get to this Night Slash, but opponent has a little bit more energy than I thought. So I'm going to shield this up. I have to go for the move here. Feather Dance is going to be able to lower my attack by 2 stages. That feels really awkward. I'm hoping I can get to 2 Night Slashes, but Golisopod being very close to a move, and now they're going to get the farm down, but I'm going to need to throw a move here. Going for the Aerial Ace and winning CMP over Pidgeot. Pidgeot has a disturbingly high attack stat. I almost never win CMP when I feel like I should, but the opponent has a Leaf Blade. Is this going to be enough to take out my Golisopod? I hope not. Those IVs sure mean something. Leaf Blade, leaving me with a little bit of HP in the opponent, not at another charge move yet. Going to be able to throw the Aerial Ace and take out the opponent's Virizion, and that is going to be a good game. Well played. into the next battle here. We've got Gliscor into Tapu Fini. I say Gliscor interchangeably. Either way, bad lead. I'm going to go straight to my Golisopod, doing some damage here. Charizard's going to come in, and I noticed that the opponent's Charizard here has Air Slash. I'm not sure if y'all do, but I have forgotten the counts for Air Slash, so I'm just going to keep going for liquidations, hoping that I can outspeed this thing. However, I would be quite happy to get shield advantage too as well. Knowing that they have a Tapu Fini in the lead, I do know that shields down my team can do a lot of damage to the opponent's Tapu Fini via Moonblast, and even Earthquake if I need to. But opponent shields up twice, going for switch advantage. They do not want to give it up, and I'm ready to let this go. I think the opponent's just at a Dragon Claw, but now what I can do is come in with my Tapu Fini while they're still locked in and farm them all the way down. And I'm not going to shield this, even if it's a Blast Burn. I don't think it was, because they threw pretty consistently at 4 or 5. So Dragon Claw barely does anything. Tapu Fini gets the farm down and is just about at a Moonblast here. And they come in with Cobalion once again, core breaking the opponent's back line. I'm going to save the energy for later. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to risk it, and I'm just going to take the Stone Edge, and then I'm going to force the opponent to bring out their Tapu Fini, and I'm going to hope I can get to this Earthquake in time, but I unfortunately cannot. Now, I'm going to find out for science. How much damage does this Earthquake do to Tapu Fini? I'm going to farm up a little bit past the Earthquake because I don't want to give the Cobalion any farm if I do end up living. But unfortunately for me, they do live with a little bit of HP, but not enough to get to another charged move. I'm able to get to the Moonblast and a Surf before the opponent is going to be able to get to, I think, a Stone Edge at this point, because I just caught the Stone Edge on my Gliscor. And I'm going for the Moonblast anyway because I want to. So I'm going to go for this Moonblast because I have so much energy. They shouldn't be able to get to a second Stone Edge before then, and that is going to be another good game. Well played. Went on a really awesome rip with this team, by the way, in my Patreon, or not even, it was just a regular live stream. Good lead here, but I have to watch out for energy. So I'm eventually looking to swap at some point, trying to do some chip damage here. Yeah, we did these battles on the stream, I believe, on Friday of last week, and it was actually a really hype stream. Tried out Skeledirge, which you'll all hopefully will see on the channel. I'm not sure if I want to use the battles that I played on the stream or not. I'm going to try it for a day in some other team. I know Junkus already put out a video, so I have to be wary of the fact that he's already covered it. But my opponent has Ampharos, and I'm hoping that they are just... I'm just going to let this go. But they got the Thunder, and that is an honorary Kaboom. Even though Tapu Fini was almost out of HP, them going for the Thunder, they get mad props from that. And they're able to get to another charge move even after throwing the Thunder, which I did not think they were going to be able to do. So there goes the opponent going for the Brutal Swing, and then in comes the Golisopod, and now I have to start shielding because a Liquidation would surely KO my Gliscor. And I have Golisopod in the back with Aerial Ace, so I'm hoping that I can potentially land one. But I stay in here, and then I try to catch another Liquidation, but my opponent, very patient or not at the move yet, hangs onto their energy, and they have a Drapion in the back. So I'm going to go for the Liquidation here. I'm looking to lower the defenses if I can, get that debuff, but no debuff for me, unfortunately. One more Liquidation should be enough to put this Drapion in either a really nice farm down range or be very close to taking it out. So I'm going to go for the Liquidation here. Opponent threw a Crunch, and they got the debuff. So now my next Crunch that I take will absolutely KO. But here I'm going to go for the farm down. My opponent throwing a move. I'm going to shield. I'm going to hope that my opponent doesn't have a move banked on their Golisopod, which I'm pretty sure in hindsight, I'm pretty sure they did. Plus they have a shield. So I need the energy here. And I think that what I should have done is I should have just saved that shield for Gliscor and looked to farm down with it. But I go in here looking for the next Night Slash on Gliscor, but unfortunately I was just one away. The opponent able to throw the Liquidation, and they're even at 2 charge moves, so my plan probably wouldn't have worked anyway. So very well played to my opponent, getting out of a tough team comp with that Golisopod. Very well played. Into the next battle, we've got another terrible lead. Gliscor into Shadow Alolan Sandslash, immediately dipping into my Tapu Fini here, and again, the opponent is going to stay in and go for the Drill Run chip damage, and I'm going to take it on the chin and see what happens afterwards. Hopefully they don't come in with something that's going to completely destroy me. The opponent's staying in for a little bit longer, and then they come in with a Swampert. Now, they've given me a massive energy lead here. Normally, I would just run the Moonblast into them straight up, and feel like I should have here, but thankfully they do shield, so it was a little bit more redeeming. And right before I get to the Moonblast, they throw the move, so very good counting by my opponent here. Hydro Cannon I was hoping wouldn't KO, but unfortunately, because it's a Shadow, it absolutely does. So I'm forced now to come in with my Golisopod, who does hard wall the energy from Shadow Swampert, but because it's a Shadow Swampert, that's still going to hurt a lot, and I feel like they've built up to an Earthquake here. Not going to take any chances. I do shield up the Earthquake, which is quite nice, and I'm going to go for the Liquidation after a little bit more farm. I could have gone for it right away and hoped for a defense drop, but usually relying on RNG does not go my way. So my opponent gets out immediately, stores a move, I think. They might have a move loaded. But I'm going to go for the Liquidation. My opponent also has a Alolan Sandslash, which has its energy walled completely by Golisopod. So because they let themselves get so low, I'm going to no-shield this one. Drill Run is going to be resisted, and I'm going to go for the farm down. My opponent not getting to a second charge move here. Not going to let them get this Hydro Cannon off. I am going to shield up and see what my opponent has in the back. Golisopod and Gliscor in the back. Opponent's got a Poliwrath here. This could be very dangerous if they can mow through my Golisopod and get to the Gliscor with a charged move. So I'm going to just continue to go for charge move after charge move here. Aerial Ace is going to be doing plenty of damage. The opponent is going to need to shield at some point here, and I'm pivoting into my Gliscor immediately, hoping that I can get to a move. Opponent throwing their energy here at the Ice Punch. Scald energy almost takes me out, but they do decide to surrender, which I think they absolutely could have won that if they had stayed in to play it out. So I don't know if the Night Slash would have been enough. I guess that's what the real factor, because I would have thrown that right away after getting that last move there, and see if that would have KO'd. But anyway, in the next match, we've got a Giratina altered on the lead. Whole team has play into this. Tapu Fini having Moonblast, and then the Night Slashes and Shadow Claws from Golisopod and Gliscor. Gonna look to catch a Dragon Claw or something here. I need to eventually pivot out. I've always found that Gliscor does usually pretty well when the opponent swaps out or stays in that lead, but the opponent bringing the Spice Meter up to 11, counter swaps a Blaziken into my Golisopod save swap, and I'm like, no, I'm shielding. That's a Blaze Kick, but it's still gonna hurt, and I'm not really sure if I want to give you switch advantage, so I'm gonna go for the Liquidation here. Going straight for the debuffs here. I do know that they're running counter. It's a little bit slower, I think, to the Blaze Kick than it would be to get to the Aerial Aces and their Liquidations here. Get the debuff, but I'm willing to take the shield advantage. Tapu Fini will probably wall this thing. Let's see how much damage we can get off of the Tapu Fini before they get to a move. Right before they go down, though, they're going to get to a move, and I know this is just a Blaze Kick, so I'm going to let this go, and we're going to see what the opponent has in the back. With no shields left, they've got Giratina and something else. We're going to see what they come in with here. They come in with a Melmetal. Now, Melmetal is not necessarily as dangerous as Registeel, because Melmetal is not nearly as bulky. However, it has a much spammier charge move. My opponent going for the superpower here, so I catch the superpower, which is nice. And they come back in with the Giratina, which is, unfortunately for them, not a matchup that they're going to have a good time with. I still have a shield, and I have multiple ways, I feel like, to win this game. So I'm going to shield up the Gliscor here. I feel like it's going to have some value. My opponent gets to a charge move here before I get to the Night Slash, unfortunately. But I'm looking to hopefully farm this thing down, leave myself with as little HP as possible, hoping that Tapu Fini can, with 2 Surfs, take out the Melmetal, and I also hope that they're not running Thunderbolt. If they're running Thunderbolt, then that's a problem. But able to get to the Night Slash with just a fraction of my health bar. 1 HP and a Dream. Gliscor gets to the Night Slash to soften up the Melmetal, and that absolutely puts it into Surf range. Go for the charge move right away, but unfortunately it doesn't register, and I do some more Water Guns here. My opponent goes for Superpower, and at this point I'm wondering if it's a single move Melmetal, possibly going from playing Spice to all they had. But either way, I respect the Blaziken, and going to be able to get the farm down, and a Surf would have been ready if it hadn't been for the superpower debuff anyway. So good game to my opponent there, well played. Got a Registeel into Gliscor here. Very, very positive lead. Opponent staying in, might be somewhat core broken. Opponent goes for the Tapu Fini after giving me a bit of an energy lead, so I'm going to go straight for the Earthquake here to do some chip damage, and then I'm going to look to come in with my Golisopod here, or Tapu Fini rather. After that Earthquake and my opponent throwing the move right away, I know this is just a Surf. Now, the nice thing here is that I can farm this thing down and use my own energy as a gauge for how much energy the opponent's got, because they just threw just about all their energy. Knowing that they're not getting to that Moonblast, it allows me to farm them all the way down, and this is very, very dangerous. My opponent, even though the Registeel, I think I would have come with the Registeel here, if I'm being honest, but Cresselia makes sense, trying to keep it away from the Gliscor. Registeel in the back is a very, very dangerous Pokemon, because Golisopod, Tapu Fini both have to worry about the Zap Cannons. Gliscor, even though it does core break most of Registeel's cores. You know, it resists all of its charge moves. Those Zap Cannons still hit pretty hard. They're just under, 40-50%, somewhere under that range there. So I come in with my Golisopod here, looking to keep my Gliscor on the Registeel. And if the opponent does come in with the Registeel, we've already seen how much damage that Earthquake will do, and that's a lot of damage. So my opponent going for the CMP here with my Gliscor. I'm gonna with my Golisopod, gonna throw the Liquidation. Still no debuffs, but I do know that since I'm paying attention to how many move counts they're working on here, I can decide to go for CMP, or I can throw before they get to a move, and that's fine. I go for the Aerial Ace for the chip damage KO. My opponent catches it on a Registeel like a savage, and I also undercharge it for no reason at all. Gonna come in with the Gliscor, and I think the only way that I win this at this point is I have to go for a successful Night Slash bait. My opponent's Cresselia is so low that I think that they're going to be forced to basically go for a shield here. But I'm going to go for the Earthquake anyway. I'm thinking that since I took that move, I can actually continue to farm up. The lock-ons will not KO me here. So instead of baiting, I do decide to just full send the Earthquakes, and I felt like after taking the charge move off of that Registeel, I figured that was a safer option because I knew that I could get to 2 Earthquakes before being farmed down, and also getting the Night Slash just about loaded against the Cresselia here, surviving 1 Psycho Cut and taking out Cresselia with the Night Slash, and that is going to be a good game. Well played. This is very quickly becoming a Gliscor feature, even though this is supposed to be Golisopod. But anyway, last final game here, another terrible, awful lead into an Aurora. So you're going to safe swap into the Golisopod. Opponent is staying in, looking to go for that Meteor Beam, and they stay in to tank the Liquidation. We're going to find out here if the opponent shields or not. They let it go. Going to make things a little bit easier in the end game for my Gliscor, hopefully. But I'm going to shield up a potential Meteor Beam, and it's a good shield on me. Here we go. There's Clefable coming in, and now what I have to do is I just have to do as much as I can here, hoping that Tapu Fini and Gliscor can handle whatever's in the back. Get a defense drop on the opponent. That's huge. I can tank 1 move here, so I'm going to let it go. Even if it's a Moonblast, it does not do as much damage as you might think. It does a lot, but it leaves me alive. And I'm going to go for the Liquidation here right before going down. I'm only going to get to 1 move, so I may as well go for the one that's going to do the damage. Opponent shields that up, and I'm going to send in my Gliscor here, hoping to get to a full farm down here. I'm tanking 1 move regardless, and hoping they don't get to a second, and if they have to, I will shield. But Moonblast lands and does a ton of damage, and then the opponent gets to a move right at the last second. Have to shield it up. It's going to be that Meteor Mash, and I'm going to go for the Earthquake against that Aurorus if it comes in. I want to get rid of it, and that's a lot of damage that we take from that Aurorus. Opponent, wonder what they got in the back. Aurorus just gets completely clapped. We've got a Trevenant in the back, and they have a shield. So I bank the Night Slash for later. All I can do is hope to do enough damage, get to this Moonblast with my Tapu Fini, and then hit him with the Night Slash afterwards, and I'm hoping that that's going to be enough. So opponent gets 1 Seed Bomb. Are they going to get to another? Yeah, they are. I gave him too much of a lead of energy. So going to get the Seed Bomb, and unfortunately for me, I'm not going to have enough HP to get to 2 Night Slashes, so I'm just going to fire it off, and maybe my opponent forgets they have a shield. I don't know. But that's okay. Ending, I think, what was a pretty strong run there in the Ultra League, getting myself up to, I think that was the one that got me up to rank 18, but just about, halfway through rank 18. That's okay. Kind of spent the whole day getting to rank 18, but that is going to do it for the video today. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.